I decided to send her a Facebook request with a note. Hey, I'm sorry I ran away from you earlier. I am thinking of killing Ray next time I see her. You want in? She accepted and wrote back. I was going to thank her, actually, for finally getting me to talk to you. I'm kind of shy. It's hard to start conversations with people like you. What do you mean, people like me? People I think are cute. I don't know how to respond.
Here's how you respond to a compliment. Somebody says something nice to you, you say, "Oh, thank you." Easy. Done.
In fact, I'm shocked when a friend says, I'm not really into slash or gay comics. What, really? I thought gay porn was universal.
So here she's saying she thought gay porn was universal. This made me think about how some people, especially leftists, are like they think everyone thinks like them. And I feel like the reason they think this way is because they're so self-involved and they think the world revolves around them. So they think that their thoughts are exactly the same as everyone else's. So when anyone has a different thought, they get really surprised because they're like, what? The world doesn't revolve around me? People don't think exactly like me? What?
Later, she described herself as hetero-flexible and tried to explain why she liked lesbian porn more than gay porn. I think it's because I just don't know how to assign a sensation to a body part that I don't have. I assign sensation to a body part I don't have all the time. Sometimes I can almost feel where it would be resting against my thigh.
I think she probably has gender dysphoria because people who don't have it don't assign feelings to body parts they don't have. I feel like the only people that would do that are people who have lost a limb that they previously had. So, like, I've seen this in shows where there's a character who's an amputee, and there's this thing called phantom pain where they'll feel like they have pain in the leg or arm that they lost, but their arm and or leg is no longer there anymore, but the brain still sends pain signals down there. That would be the only other case of feeling sensation in a body part that you don't have. But the difference is people had their arms and legs before the amputation, but this girl has never had a penis, so she's assigning a sensation to a body part she doesn't have, which is gender dysphoria.
The clearest metaphor I had for my own gender identity in college was the image of a scale. A huge weight had been placed on one side without my permission. I was constantly trying to weigh down the other side. Assigned female at birth, short hair, baggy boy clothes, name, pronouns, hormones, top surgery. But the end goal wasn't masculinity, the goal was balance. Dressing up as a male character let me play with the idea of how I would choose to present myself if the weight of assigned sex had been placed on the other side of the scale. If I had been born a boy, I would play with this stuff every day. Assigned male at birth, long hair, jewelry, makeup, bright colors, florals, sparkles, skirts, dresses, nail polish, scarves, tassels, cute shoes.
Okay, I don't understand why leftists pretend like freedom doesn't exist. Now, I'm not saying that we live in an entirely free country because sometimes it doesn't feel like it, and that's not what I'm talking about right now. What I am talking about is when the left pretends like everything's oppressive and everything is terrible when it actually isn't. And I think this is the problem with their whole my truth, your truth crap, because they make up their own reality and then they ignore actual reality and then they make prisons of their own minds. And I've said this before, but it's like if you keep on thinking that you have it bad or you're a victim or the patriarchy is oppressing you or whatever nonsense that you've come up with that you think is oppressing you, you are literally the one making your own freedom go away. You are oppressing yourself and you don't get it.
Do you have any questions? Yeah, why don't I feel like a girl?
I would really like to know where this feel like a girl or feel like a boy came from, because when I was growing up, none of that was ever said. You just were a girl or a boy, and you had interests, and you had a personality, and you participated in certain activities. That feel like a girl or feel like a boy doesn't really mean anything. Like, I feel healthy. I feel happy. So you can feel a state of physical being. You can feel an emotion, but you cannot feel like something that... Yeah, I don't even... What the fuck does this mean? Does anyone know where this came from? Where this I feel like a girl, I feel like a boy comes from? Does anyone know?
Why do I get so turned on by gay sex? Is there a physical attribute of my body, like an overlarge clitoris or something, that makes me feel like I should have a penis?
Also, these questions should probably be asked in a psychological session, because it's definitely a psychological issue.
I've always thought I had a fairly vivid imagination, but around age 16 I felt like I'd run through literally every sexual fantasy. I'd used up all of my material. This led to the first time I gave up wanking. 2005, June. Months I wanked, months with no wanking. Yes, I kept track. In 2005, this hiatus was intentional. But next slide, please. I had 2 more unintentional hiatuses in college. I had no idea what to make of this annual pattern of asexuality. Was it a hormone imbalance? Was I malnourished? Was my body operating on a seasonal sexual cycle like a bird? Obviously, I was way too embarrassed to ask anyone about this. Eventually, I got tired of thinking about it and I just stopped keeping track.
This entire page is proof you are not asexual. Even people who think about sex more than you do not make all of these charts documenting their wanking off episodes. The fact that you made these at least 3 times proves that you think about sex quite a bit. The fact that most of your book is about sex, sexual fantasies, and wanking, which no one asked for, is proof that you are not asexual.
Not long after this, I had a conversation about the word cisgender with a cis straight male friend from high school. I feel like this word just came out of nowhere. I'd never seen it before a month ago. Now it's in all of these online spaces. And if you don't know what it means, people call you an asshole. It's not hard to look up the meaning of a word. Google it. Yeah, but like, well, do you identify as cisgender? Not really. You don't? No. It was the first time I had said that out loud. Do you feel sad that you weren't born with a dick? LOL sometimes. Oh.
I feel like this word cisgender is redundant, because what it means is you are happy with the sex that you were born as. In other words, it means not trans. And so I feel like it's redundant because it's saying, like, if I just say I'm a girl, that should kind of imply I'm fine with being a girl and I have no intentions of trying to be a boy or whatever else. So it's redundant to say cisgender girl, because if I say I'm a girl, then it means I'm putting my foot down and saying, yes, I'm a girl. So I don't need an extra word to describe something that I've already described.
I decided to talk to my mom about it. I know I told you ages ago that I am bi, but I think now that I'm probably genderqueer too. What do you mean? Well, I'm still sorting out what it means and how to explain it. But like, I've never felt female or identified with being female. Specifically things like having breasts or having a period. No one likes having their period. I mean, I know. But I feel it goes deeper than that for me. My whole life I've wished for a magical way to switch between genders, so that you could be a male sometimes. Sort of, but not exactly. It's more about not being female than being male.
That's because it probably doesn't mean anything. You've made up a word without it having any basis in reality. That's why you can't explain it. If I say I identify as a whoozy whatchamadoodle, and you ask me what is a who's a whatchamadoodle, Veronica, I would probably say I don't know how to explain it because it's not a word. It's a bunch of sounds that I put together that kind of float off the tongue, sort of. But I didn't base it in reality. I didn't have any meaning in my head about it when I said it, so it means nothing. It's just a bunch of syllables. That's why you can't explain what the word genderqueer is, because you just made it up. For example, if I could just remove my entire reproductive system, that would be ideal. But what about having kids? Ugh, I've told you 100 times, I am never having children. I wish you wouldn't say that. You'd be such a good mom. So according to science, which the left says they think is real, but they don't act like they think it's real, a reproductive system doesn't just deal with the production of children. The female one performs other functions. The hormones that the reproductive system produces keeps bone density strong, and this is something that is really important because if your bones were breaking every time you did anything, like moved or anything, you would be in excruciating pain all the time. This is why old women who have gone off of their cycles because the natural state of getting old means you get off your cycle. That's why they're more prone to osteoporosis, because their body is not naturally producing estrogen anymore. So your reproductive system, even if you're not going to have a baby, it still has a function. So taking it out would just mean you're limiting your body's production of something that it needs to keep yourself healthy. Why would you do that? Also, I should mention, I don't want kids, but I have no qualms with my reproductive system. It's fine. I enjoy having it. It keeps me healthy. No, I wouldn't. I'd be constantly resenting the kid for taking up all of my time. I'm way too selfish for parenting. This may be the first time the author has said anything remotely true. We planned a second date. In the interest of transparency, you should know I'm 25 years old and I've never had sex. I haven't kissed anyone since elementary school. My main kink is autoandrophilia. Penetration is a hard no for me. And I'm weirdly grossed out by some bodily fluids, so unfortunately, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable going down on you. If literally any of that is a deal breaker for you, I will completely understand. If you want to bow out at the end of this date because of any reason, I won't be offended. None of that is a deal breaker for me. Yay. There's actually something I should tell you too. Oh yeah? What's that? I decided to stop shaving my pubic hair and legs because, well, I've been doing it for like 10 years and I don't want to anymore. But all my hair is kind of half grown in right now. Hopefully that's not too gross for you. This is a second date? Who talks about this on their second date? I thought usually people didn't have sex until the third date. That was some kind of like unwritten rule or something that everyone agreed on. Oh, but I guess that only applies if you don't live in a degenerate, filthy cesspool. A few days later, I think the fact that I don't see myself as or understand myself as a female person, but that most of the people I interact with do, is actually damaging all of my relationships, even ones with family and friends. This is also the first time in this comic strip that I've seen her be self-aware. So she's saying that she knows that other people see her as a girl. And she knows that her not agreeing with them is damaging her relationships. But of course, she's not going to try and fix this as we see in the rest of the book. But at least she's being somewhat self-aware here. This whole dating thing is making me more and more confused and less happy. I don't think I want to do it anymore. So when she told me, I'm starting to get a real crush on you, I'm really sorry, but I need to stop dating for a while. I have too much gender stuff to figure out first. So this just means I'm too self-involved to date anyone. This is also evidence of what I just said. She knows what the problem is, but she's not smart enough or willing enough to solve it. She knows that she pushes people away, but she continues to do it. You're never going to improve if you don't choose to change a problem after you've discovered it. So if you don't want to change, you're not going to, even if you know what the problem is. You have to be ready and willing to make the change before you'll actually change. I would correct people. What did Melanie say was due today? Redacted incorrect pronoun. Blank said to turn in our business cards. You mean they said. Arg, yes. Only to turn around and make the exact same mistake 30 seconds later. What's due to Melanie? Redacted, blank said the business cards. You mean they said. Arg. Here we have her ordaining herself the pronoun police during school. What a great human to be around. You know, I just love when someone around me tells me how to speak. It's such a great feeling to be corrected and to just have that constant demand on me to always speak perfectly at all times. It's such a great feeling. These pronoun police, man, they're just so useful for society. Learning to use new words is hard at first, but I practiced all semester. They teach our class. They are non-binary. They draw comics. They make good PowerPoints. They like kayaking. They wear cool earrings. Somewhere along the way it clicked. What's due to Melanie on Monday? They want our website graphics. So I was on his blog last week. Actually, Rob uses they, them pronouns now. Do they? That's cool. Right, so I was on their blog, and it became easy. Now we see her brainwashing herself into someone else's language. Repeating something over and over again is a common tactic for brainwashing, especially when the thing that you're repeating is not helpful to you or society or anyone. At Thanksgiving in 2015, my sister brought her new boyfriend to stay with me and my parents for the first time. Maia Kobabe. He is an engineer at JPL, owner of many Hawaiian shirts, a lover of camping and dogs. Maia is the first person I've watched take testosterone. So your period stopped? Months ago. Wow, amazing. When I first read this name, Maia, I was like, that's a weird name for a boy. But then I found out it's a girl shooting herself up with testosterone, and then still somehow nothing made any sense. So why do you identify as non-binary rather than as a trans man? Because really I want people to be confused about my gender at all times. I don't want a beard and I don't want my voice to change. I don't want more gendered traits, I want less. If tea magically makes you grow a dick though, I'll let you know. Believe me when I say we are all confused about you and what you are talking about. This seems to be a common leftist tactic where they say one thing, do the opposite of what they said, then when someone points it out, they complain that you noticed that they were doing the opposite of what they said. This is not somebody that I want to be around, nor somebody that I want to do what they say. Like, why would I want to do what they say? They just sound annoying. But it's their tactic because if everyone's confused all the time, then it gives them a chance to complain constantly, which I feel like I've seen a pattern where the leftists just want to complain all the time about everything. That's why they make up race hoaxes and sexism hoaxes and false rape accusations and everything else under the sun that they fucking complain about, that they make up. That's why. They just want to complain. I remember when I first realized I never had to have children. It was like walking out of a narrow alley into a wide open field. I never have to get married. I never have to date anyone. I don't even have to care about sex. These realizations were like gifts that I gave to myself. Yes, I don't understand why this is a surprise to you. Because as I said before, we live in a free country and you have the choice to decide whether or not you want to have kids. And every other decision that you make in your life is basically available to you. See, you can have a female reproductive system, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to.
Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe. What? They don't have any of my plain underwear. Everything has lace on it. What do I do? Help me. Do you want to look in the boys section? Yes. Wait, is that an option? Will anything fit me? Amila gets his there. Wow.
She has anxiety over the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Newsflash, not all girls like lace on our underwear. It's not that big of a deal. If you can't find something you like in a certain section of the store, just go to another store or go to a different section. Nobody says that you can't buy things from a different section. Or, you can order something online. Like, there's options. I've bought men's shoes before when the women's shoes weren't appealing to me, either from the color choices or the fit of the shoe. For a while, women's sneakers were really skinny and narrow because apparently shoe manufacturers thought all women had feet that were the width of an inch. They were so tight and uncomfortable, and I just couldn't wear them for any longer than like 5 minutes. So I went to the men's sneaker section and found some shoes that were a little wider and those fit more comfortably, so I bought those and no one cared. I didn't have a panic attack or freak out about it. It's fine. And yes, it is a little weird to be a girl buying boys' underwear, but I guess you can do that. It's strange, but whatever. Nobody's gonna stop you.
There you go. Wow. These have dinosaurs. These have spaceships. These have comics on them.
Believe me, I am a comic book superhero nerd adult as well. But these pictures just make her sound like she's permanently stuck in a child's mindset. Because it's one thing to like a superhero as an adult because it's fun, but like to have this kind of fixation and kind of be obsessed about it as an adult, that's when it kind of crosses the line into like maybe you didn't really grow up.
How would I help support a young person who came to me with the same feelings I have about gender? Reading The Gender Creative Child by Diane Earnsaft. Obviously, I would listen and believe them. I'd ask if they wanted to do some level of social transition. If the kid hadn't hit puberty yet, I'd say try hormone blockers, but it's too late for that for me, sadly.
She says, sadly, she didn't get to do hormone blockers, but I think that's actually good because puberty is a natural state of growth that changes your child body into an adult body. And you need that not just for like physical appearance, but you need that for like your body to function normally and for all of the everything that changes, even like your hair and your skin and stuff like that, and your like width of your face and things like that, like, and your height too. Like, you need that or you'll stunt your growth. So hormone blockers I don't think are good because puberty is something necessary for you to have regular natural human development. And if you don't have that and you block it, you are stunting your own growth. It even like stunts your like mental capacity too. So it keeps you in a perpetual state of childhood, which is kind of what these leftists want. It makes you like dumber. If your brain is stuck in a prepubescent stage and you don't learn like you're supposed to, bad people can just tell you whatever and you'll just believe them because you don't have the brain capacity to logically think for yourself and get yourself out of a bad situation. Bad people want to control you, and that is one way that they can do that, is if they can physically make you dumber, they will. And that, I think, is the main problem with the hormone blockers.
I already have short hair and I've been wearing non-gender specific clothes for years. I don't want to change my name, but I like the idea of changing pronouns. Female pronouns feel less and less accurate lately when I hear them used for me. But what would feel accurate? He, him, his, they, them, theirs, he or they, he or they. What am I?
You are a confused human. And once again, this leftist is trying to put herself into a box. She's trying to label herself, however, he, him, hers, they, them, theirs, whatever. She's trying to put herself in a specific, tight little box. I don't understand what the leftist obsession is with this, like, categorizing everything into a specific, rigid, tight little place. Like, I thought that was a symptom of, like, autism or something. Like, do all leftists suffer from autism? Is that why they're so obsessed with, like, categorizing things and, like, making sure you never stray out of your stupid little box? Like, what is that?
Jana and I lost touch with each other and only reconnected at the New Year's Eve party in 2015. What have you been up to for the past decade? I've been ordained as a pagan priestess, and I identify as non-binary now. Wow, me too. Tell me more. For me, female presentation has always been a performance. A fun performance with sequins, glitter, and wild hair. But for a lot of my life, I felt like a drag queen in a female body. That makes perfect sense.
That makes perfect sense? How? Tell me how that sentence makes any sense. So, a drag queen is a man who likes to cross-dress in women's clothing and wear extravagant makeup and sing. So, a man in a female body, a man who wants to cross-dress in a female body, what even does that mean? How does that make any sense? Tell me.
I've been thinking about switching to they them pronouns, but for some reason that doesn't feel quite right. What pronouns do you use? I use the Spivak pronouns em air, as in ask M what E wants in air T. Em air. I love those pronouns. I just got the biggest tingle down my spine. That was my reaction too.
So I looked up Spivak pronoun because I have no idea what that means, of course. Why would I? So the Spivak pronouns are a set of gender-neutral pronouns in English, allegedly, promulgated on the virtual community Lambda Mu, based on pronouns used in a book by American mathematician Michael Spivak. Okay, so Spivak is just his last name, the last name of the guy who made up this stuff. So he's making up a language and then alleging that it's still English. This goes back to my whatchamahoozy doodle thing that I was talking about earlier. You can't just make words up and expect everyone to know what they mean or to use them properly, because that's not how you create language. Because if we created language that way, nobody would know what the hell anybody was saying, because person A over here made something up and then person B made up a different thing, and they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other about what the things they made up were. This is why language evolved over time to become what it is, and that's why words do have meaning, and you can't just sit here and make shit up.
Asking people to start using new pronouns for me seems like such a huge request, though. I know people will mess up, and then what do I do? If I correct someone, will they get mad? I'd love to use these pronouns, but I don't want to inconvenience people. So instead of asking people to do something to make you feel more comfortable, you'd rather just feel a little uncomfortable all the time? You'd rather internalize and carry that discomfort every time someone who loves you misgenders you? Well, when you put it that way.
What you do is you leave us alone, because it is not our duty to speak words to you that you want to hear, because the world does not revolve around you. If you correct someone and they get mad, just walk away, because they're not going to listen to you anyway. Just grow a thicker skin, realize that not everybody's going to say what you want, and realize that you're not always going to hear what you want, so just move on with your life. That's what you do. Jesus Christ. So this pink-haired person with the flowers is the epitome of narcissism right here, because she says, so instead of asking people to do something to make you feel more comfortable, you'd rather just feel a little uncomfortable all the time. So it's like she's telling this other girl that it is not worth it to feel even just a little bit of discomfort. Because if you even feel just a little bit of discomfort, that means you have to tell the other person, you have to demand that they make you feel comfortable. That's narcissism. And then this next part, you'd rather internalize and carry that discomfort every time someone who loves you misgenders you. You don't have to internalize and carry discomfort. If someone calls me a bitch, I just walk away. I don't internalize it and carry that discomfort with me. It's not worth it. Like, that's all. Just don't let their words get to you because their words don't mean anything. Can't even with this shit.
What pronouns would you want? My favorite are air, but I realize those sound like made-up words.
Those don't sound like made-up words. They are made-up words.
If people could just switch to thinking of me as gender non-binary, that would be amazing. But the only way I can think of to initiate a switch in thinking is to start with a switch of words. If you ask me to start using new pronouns for you, of course I will. But I'd like you to explain why. Right now I don't understand, and I'm going to keep asking until I do. What if I'm never able to explain, but I can tell you that it would make me happy? Would that be reason enough?
I felt recently that people are misunderstanding that happiness is the cure to everything. And I feel like happiness shouldn't be the thing that we're striving for. We need to be finding things that make us happy. So the things that will lead to happiness. For me, it's like truth and beauty and logic usually are things like, if I keep following those things, I usually end up happy. But like, if I just search for the happiness, that doesn't make me happy. Like, it only lasts temporarily. But if I find the actual things that have the happiness as a second result, then the happiness stays longer. So for her to say, what if I'm never able to explain, but I can tell you that it would make me happy? It's just like a temporary fleeting happiness. But she doesn't know that, of course. But it's kind of like the temporary fleeting happiness that you get when you think you're doing something that makes you happy, but it's not really long term. So like when people have bad habits, that's usually what it is. They'll be like, oh, or even like a drug addict, where they're injecting themselves because it makes them feel happy for like a day or whatever. But then what do? They always need their next hit. So it's like with this person, it's the pronoun thing she thinks will make her happy. So every time somebody calls her the pronoun that she wants, she'll be happy. But then that'll only last for like 5 minutes. And then she needs another person to say her pronouns to make her happy. She's trying to find her happiness in the pronoun and tying that together instead of trying to find something real and meaningful. Because I think what she really wants to find is meaning, but she's trying to find meaning in things that are empty. Because a pronoun is just a word. It's not going to make you happy.
At home, I tossed and turned over Sherry's misogyny comment. What if she's right? Our society's treatment of women is so toxic. Have I just been brainwashed into hating parts of myself?
You have been brainwashed into gender ideology, thinking that you can be born in the wrong body and thinking that you have body parts that you were supposed to have, but that you don't have, but that you think that you should have, so that you think that you need to assign feeling to them, and that's what you've been brainwashed into. So kind of, yeah, you've been brainwashed into hating parts of yourself that you shouldn't because they're just natural. But it's not because of the society's treatment of women is... I hate this word toxic right now, but I'll do that in a different video. But you have been brainwashed into gender ideology.